Welcome into Bengals Breakdown, Stone Shields on hand. It is finally time for our first Cincinnati Bengals mock draft. We're going through all the selections that Cincinnati has. No trades in this mock draft, perhaps one down the line we will include trades, but right now just the picks that Cincinnati currently possesses. We're going to be breaking those down, and I am going to be mocking this draft, serving as Duke Tobin / Zach Taylor, picking who's going to be members of the Cincinnati Bengals football team for 2025. Look, they need to knock this draft out of the park. Absolutely no two ways around it. Considering how much money you're going to have to allocate to your star players and how you've kind of poorly done in the draft over the past couple of years, got to knock this one out of the park here this season. Hopefully, Cincinnati can execute and be able to do that here in a couple of months. If you want more Bengals mock draft videos, hit that subscribe button right now. This is our first one here on today's show. We're going to have plenty more coming, so don't miss out. Hit that sub button, youtube.com/BengalsTV. All right, here we go. So I ran it through the PFF simulator, and this is what we got. Obviously, Cincinnati picking at that number 17 position. They went Cam Ward, 1 overall, to the Tennessee Titans. Shedeur Sanders, 2 quarterbacks off the board. Abdul Carter, boy, he's going to be really good. Going number 3 to the Giants. Mason Graham out of Michigan, 4. Travis Hunter all the way down to 5. That's kind of surprising. I would expect him to go before Mason Graham, but again, this is what PFF spit out. Teteroa McMillan at 6 to the Raiders, clearly the best wide receiver in this year's class. Moving on to pick number 7, Will Johnson. I've seen Johnson mocked to Cincinnati a little bit, but probably not going to be there at 17. James Pierce Jr., that's a little rich for me, going at that number 8 overall selection. There's Malachi Starks at number 9. If you watch the show, you know how badly I want Malachi Starks. But according to this mock draft, he will be gone at that point. Ashton Jeanty going 10 to the Bears. Will Campbell, 11 to the Niners. Mike Green, 12 to the Dallas Cowboys. 13 through 16 here. Tyler Warren, tight end out of Penn State. He's going to be really good right away. Absolutely no doubt about that. Luther Burden III. Getting picked at number 14 overall by the Indianapolis Colts. Benjamin Morrison, corner out of Notre Dame, 15. And at 16 overall, Kelvin Banks Jr. That leads us to Cincinnati's pick. And who did I pick for the Cincinnati Bengals? Mykel Williams, defensive end out of Georgia. Look, the Cincinnati Bengals simply need a pass rusher, and at this point, I thought he was the best available, given kind of what happened in the picks leading up to that number 17 overall spot. Williams, of course, played at Georgia. He's been a part of a lot of winning, right? Playing for Kirby Smart. He's a really tough, physical guy. Injuries certainly were a concern for Mykel Williams this past year. I think without some of the ankle injuries, he probably goes a little bit earlier, and he would have been off the board in this mock. He's a really, really good run defender, which is really good, right? But Cincinnati really needs someone that can rush the quarterback. And honestly, that's kind of the one drawback you have with this Mykel Williams selection. The pass rush numbers haven't necessarily been there. 5 sacks, okay. You would like to see a little bit more out of that from Mykel Williams. My biggest thing is you don't want a project here at this number 17 overall pick. You need somebody that can come in and contribute immediately. Can Mykel Williams be that guy? I am not sure, but I ended up taking him here in this draft, and I certainly think he would be a quality selection for the Bengals at number 17. Here were some other guys that could be available for Cincinnati. Again, this is what we ran through with PFF here. Josh Simmons, offensive tackle at Ohio State. He clearly was the best offensive tackle in the country before he got hurt. Shamar Stewart, I've seen him as a mock to the Bengals, but I went with Williams over Stewart. Walter Nolan also has been a popular attachment to the Cincinnati Bengals here at the interior defensive line. Kenneth Grant, kind of surprised to see him on the board as well. And Armand Membu, who was widely regarded as probably the best interior offensive lineman in this draft. So lots of difficult decisions, but ultimately I went with Mykel Williams at number 17. Would you draft Mykel Williams in the first round of the NFL draft if you are the Cincinnati Bengals? Let me know in the comment section. Type Y for yes or N for no. If that ad comes here on YouTube, it's totally fine. Take advantage of it. Down in the comments, let us know what you think. Second round now. Ariante Ursery going 43 here to the San Francisco 49ers. Not going to go throughout all the picks in between. Just figured I would hit the last 6 leading up to the Bengals' second round selection. Got Omar Norman Lott going to the Dallas Cowboys. Tyler Booker, who probably is the second best interior offensive lineman out of Alabama. Xavier Restrepo, wide receiver from Miami, going 46 to the Falcons. JT Tuimoloau, edge rusher from Ohio State, going to Arizona, and we'll call him Carson S. out of UCLA, linebacker, going to the Miami Dolphins. Cincinnati picking at number 49, and I was thrilled that Jihaad Campbell was still on the board for the Cincinnati Bengals in this mock draft. Look, I absolutely love Jihaad Campbell. He clearly was the best player on defense for Alabama this past season. Absolutely no question about that. And I talked about at the top of the show, looking for a guy that can come in and produce immediately. This guy is NFL ready right now. And with Jermaine Pratt requesting a trade, probably was going to get cut anyway, but you need someone to be Logan Wilson's running mate. Jihaad Campbell can be that guy for you immediately. He can come in and produce at the NFL level. This is a guy that's really tough. He's really physical. He's good in the run game. He can rush the passer a little bit as well. He's a great tackler. This guy is just a football player for you. I would be ecstatic to see Jihaad Campbell available at this spot. There's a lot of people that think he's going to be a first-round player, so I was shocked that in this PFF mock he was available, but I didn't think twice about it. I absolutely sniped Jihaad Campbell in the second round. Other guys that were available, Jalen Walker, big surprise to see him still available in this mock draft. Darian Porter, Iowa State cornerback. I know a lot of people probably would like to see Cincinnati take a corner early on in this draft. Cameron Williams, who is a great offensive tackle for Texas. Derek Harmon, certainly a good defensive guy on the interior for Oregon, as well as Darius Alexander as well. So definitely some tough decisions there, but ultimately went with the best football player, in my opinion, that was ready to make an impact immediately. Was happy to get Jihaad Campbell in the second round. We'll continue with our mock draft here in a moment, but first, want to give a shout-out to our friends over at Prize Picks. Prize Picks is the best place to get real money sports action. With over 10 million members and billions of dollars in awarded winnings, Prize Picks has made daily fantasy sports accessible to all. You just pick more or less on at least 2 players for a shot to win up to 1,000 times your cash. Run your game all season long on Prize Picks. All-Star Weekend is almost here, and Prize Picks is the best place to win cash while watching your favorite players during the game and the Saturday night events like the 3-point contest. You can now win up to 1,000 times your money on Prize Picks, and Prize Picks is the best way to get action on sports in over 30 states, including California, Texas, Georgia, and Florida. They also invented the Flex Play. Big professional baseball fan here at Chat Sports, and Jack Lauderay has put this together for our season-long Prize Picks, going with the more than here for Paul Skeens. What is that there? Help me out, Chris. What do we got here? Strikeouts? Strikeouts there for Paul Skeens, as well as Tarek Skubal, the more than on strikeouts, and Jarren Duran, the more than on home runs there for the Boston Red Sox. That is our season-long Prize Picks Flex Play slate here at Chat Sports, so would encourage you guys to tail along on that as well. So download the app today. Use code CLNS. Get $50 instantly after you play your first $5 lineup. Again, download the app. Use code CLNS. Get $50 instantly after you play your first $5 lineup. It's Prize Picks. Run your game. All right, getting ready for the third round selection here for the Cincinnati Bengals. At number 76, got Jalen Royals, wide receiver out of Utah State. Marcus Bowe, offensive lineman out of Purdue. Was unfortunate that he was off the board. I certainly had my eyes on him at number 77. Gunnar Helm off the board as well, tight end out of Texas. Could Cincinnati potentially be targeting a tight end after the injury setback for Eric All Jr.? Perhaps they opt to take one in the draft as well. Josiah Stewart, edge rusher for Michigan, as well as Elijah Arroyo at that tight end spot for Miami. I stuck with defense here in the third round. Give me Lathan Ransom out of the Ohio State University. Look, Lathan Ransom's a guy that's played a lot of football, right? He has been around the block, suffered a serious injury at Ohio State a couple of years ago, but man, was he good, especially in this playoff run. Did he benefit from playing next to Caleb Downs? Yes, absolutely, but I just love how violent this guy is out there on the football field. Lathan Ransom will absolutely lay the wood on you, and he's a real cerebral player as well. He's always in the right spot, making the right decisions. Again, guy has played a ton of football, and I could take it in the third round because I think you really need to attack that safety room as well. Geno Stone is a guy that certainly did not have the season you were hoping to. We'll see if the Bengals opt to cut him. I personally would cut Geno Stone. There's a lot of people out there that don't think that necessarily will happen. But I think Lathan Ransom, you put him there in your secondary, he can make an immediate impact for you in 2025 as well. I really like this guy, and I think he's going to carve himself out a nice career in the NFL. Other guys that were on the board, Jonas Savanaia, Isaiah Bond, Nick Amanwari. That was kind of the tough one because I think a lot of people view Amanwari as a better safety than Ransom, but I went with Ransom. Harold Fannin Jr., Mac tight end. He's a really good player. Thought about him as well. And Tate Ratledge there, the interior of your offensive line. Really, that was the toughest thing for me, taking a guy like Lathan Ransom and not allocating a resource to the interior of the offensive line. That's really a position of need for Cincinnati. So that really is kind of the biggest gripe I think a lot of people have with my mock draft is I didn't attack that part of your football team throughout the first 3 rounds. Would you draft Lathan Ransom in round 3? Let me know in the comments section. Type A for yes or B for no. All right, finally, taking an offensive lineman here in round 4. Going with Willie Lampkin here, offensive guard out of North Carolina. Look, you simply need to draft somebody along your offensive line. Very plain and simple. I think, again, a lot of people are going to pick on me for waiting this long to do it. But the reason I went with Willie Lampkin here is because I think he certainly was the best guy available at the interior offensive line. Obviously played in the ACC. Taking a look at some of these numbers, they really impress you. No sacks allowed. Yeah, Joe Burrow would love to take that. Looking at the Bengals offensive line here, Alex Kappa, he's going to get cut here, right? It's only a matter of time. Cody Ford probably is going to end up re-signing with the Cincinnati Bengals, and Cordell Volson will still be with this team, but hopefully in a backup role. You got to find a way to replace Alex Kappa, and I think this kid out of North Carolina certainly could help you with that. All right, this is a bit of a wild card here. Going with Seth McLaughlin here, round 5, pick 154. Played his college ball at Alabama before transferring to Ohio State for his final season. The big issue with McLaughlin is he is coming off an Achilles injury. Obviously, that's a tough injury for anybody to come back from, but particularly offensive linemen. Look, McLaughlin struggled a little bit at Alabama at that center spot. With snapping the football, but I think a lot of that was Jalen Milroe's fault, to be completely honest with you, because when McLaughlin got to Columbus, he had no issues with Will Howard snapping the football, and McLaughlin's a guy that plays center, and you got Karras for at least 1 more year, but I am confident that he could go play guard for you. If you remember, Landon Dickerson played center at Alabama. Now he's one of the best guards in the National Football League, helped the Philadelphia Eagles win a Super Bowl championship. So McLaughlin's a guy that, again, is a wild card coming back from that injury, but he's a real physical guy. This guy's been highly touted his whole life, was a 5-star coming out of college or coming out of high school, played at the highest levels of college football, and was the best center in America last year, certainly before he got hurt. So I think Seth McLaughlin, certainly a risk taking him coming off the injury, but I think he could potentially be a solid player for you in the NFL. And then, you might not need him. If you hit on a guard a little bit earlier in the draft, you might not need him to come in and contribute immediately. I went with Seth McLaughlin here in the 5th round. Round 6 in the final pick for the Bengals at this point. Again, no trades, and the Bengals don't have their 7th round pick because they sent that to Chicago for Khalil Herbert. But I went with Ollie Gordon II here. If you remember 2 years ago, Ollie Gordon was like the best running back in college football. I had kind of a quiet senior campaign at Oklahoma State, but it's the guy that can do a lot for you, right? He can do stuff in the run game. He can do stuff in the passing game as well. He was really the focal point for Oklahoma State's offense, really no doubt about that throughout his time with Oklahoma State. And it's just my way of thinking that Cincinnati needs to add a running back in this year's class. When you take a look at their depth chart here, there's a real good chance that the only guy on this Bengals football team that's on this depth chart is Chase Brown. He is your 1A. He is your running back 1. Absolutely love Chase Brown, but he needs a backup. Are you going to bring back Khalil Herbert? I don't know. Zach Moss, cut candidate for sure, coming back after the neck. Chris Evans, he's probably gone as well. And Travion Williams, he's had a heck of a run here, but he is probably gone. Additionally, I'm looking to probably draft a running back instead of bringing in a guy in free agency at that position. I think Ollie Gordon certainly fits that bill out of Oklahoma State. Let's recap here. Went with Mykel Williams, round 1, pick 17. Went with Jihaad Campbell, round 2, pick 49. Lathan Ransom, round 3, number 81. Willie Lampkin, round 4, 117. Seth McLaughlin, round 5, 154. And capped it off with Ollie Gordon II, round 6, number 193. Get in the comment section and grade this Bengals mock draft for me. A, B, C, D, or F. Sound off for us. I think personally I'd say it's probably a B. I don't know what you guys think. Get down in the comments and sound off.